Yeah.
We are live from the MGM Grand in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, straight from the Strip. Countdown to kickoff is on. The championship game rapidly approaches. Let's do this thing. We've got a bunch of guests. We've got a bunch of bets. We've got a bunch of props. We've got a bunch of hot takes and everything else in between. We're going to be with you for the next 120 minutes right here from one of the crown jewels of the Strip in Las Vegas, Nevada, the MGM Grand. Great spot. If you don't have tickets to the big game, this is a great spot to hang out. They've got all kinds of bars, deals, big game parties going on. But we've got our own party going on right here on the grid, and we're kicking it old school. Teddy Covers. Ted Savransky is going to join us live in a couple of minutes. We're kicking it new school. Griffin Murphy in the house. Mike Blewett will be with us as well. Mike Blewett's going to join us. Look forward to Mike's take. So Roger Goodell just met with the media a couple of hours ago, his State of the Union address, so to speak, and a lot of the talk was about gaming, a lot of it was about betting, and here we are in Las Vegas, Nevada right now, and I got to tell you, as somebody that lived here in the past, it would be unthinkable to think there'd be a Super Bowl here. They'd be like, Super Bowl? They don't even play NFL exhibition preseason games here, right? And remember, the NBA All-Star Game came here many years ago, and it turned into a shootout. Right, you know, I mean, it was a violent weekend, and pro sports was sort of put on the back burner. But here we are, fast times at Rich Mountain High style, accelerated into the future, and the NFL has embraced the future. That is gaming. So we've got a ton of props to start sharing with you. We're going to sort of spread them out through the week, but I'm excited. I've already got about 20 plus bets in. I'm not kidding, and I haven't even really gotten into the player props yet. I can tell you a couple of player props that I did play. I didn't wait around. I played Mr. Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce over 6.5 receptions. Sometimes you got to keep it simple, right? Listen, he was targeted 11 times in the championship game, in the conference championship game. He caught 11 balls. If you look at the Kansas City Chiefs offense, it's not very dynamic. It's very predictable, but so is the New England Patriots, actually, when they were dominant. They do what they do, and they do it well. We all know you're throwing to Travis Kelce. You still can't stop it, right? You can't stop it. You know they're going to mix in. They're going to throw it to Rice. This kid's been unbelievable out of SMU. Valdez-Scantling steps up all the time with big catches out of nowhere. So even though they're not, they don't have a ton of weapons, they're still dangerous to deal with. The total is interesting at 47.5. We noticed this point spread. It's bouncing around, man. All right, this number, it's 2.5, 1.5, 2. I don't know if it really matters. I think, listen, if you're taking the Kansas City Chiefs, you're going to be taking the underdog, right? You're taking the points. If you like the San Francisco 49ers, don't worry about the 1.5. Don't worry about the 2. Lay the 30 cents. So the big story of the day, and this is hard to believe, actually, and I just read a great piece in the Wall Street Journal. The National Football League made $20 billion profit this year, okay? So they made $20 billion. You have the Super Bowl in 6 days. Yet the San Francisco 49ers don't have a field to practice on. The field's too soft. What are you guys, Goldilocks? Oh, it's too hard, it's too soft. So that's the first controversy, so to speak. There's always going to be these storylines throughout the week. This is the first one. So the San Francisco 49ers, and I knew this was going to be a problem when I saw that the Kansas City Chiefs were given the Raiders facility to prepare for the Super Bowl. And the San Francisco 49ers were given UNLV's facilities. Did anybody really not think that this was going to be a little bit of a problem? That the Raiders facilities weren't going to be a lot better than what UNLV's had? So San Francisco, they brought in their own field. So this is nothing negative against UNLV. And shout out to Lorenzo Fertitta and the Fertittas, because they're the ones that funded this new UNLV training facility that's state-of-the-art, beautiful. All right? So the San Francisco 49ers sent their people about 2 weeks ago to this UNLV facility. They approved it. The National Football League sent their people. They approved it. They brought in outside. Roger Goodell said today that they brought in 23 different experts about grass just for their practice field, and that the field is fine. The San Francisco 49ers are looking for alternatives right now. Anybody got a big enough backyard in Vegas here that the Niners are looking for a place? you know, you guys can practice in my hotel room if you want. And for the record, I'm betting on you too, so let's game plan. Let's game plan, Shanahan. If you need some office space, come down to MGM and we'll hook you up, all right? So Roger Goodell was just asked about this, and he was very non-sympathetic, and he was very sarcastic. He said, what practice field? The practice field that they asked for? The practice field that we brought in 23 experts for? The practice field that they approved? And he was not very so all this while, you know, they want to practice where the Raiders practice now. It ain't happening. It doesn't look like it's happening. Goodell was not very sympathetic to this. And it's like little gamesmanship. Obviously, listen, we're here all week. This is storyline number one. But as somebody that likes the San Francisco 49ers in this game, I'm not too happy they're going to be practicing in a damn hotel ballroom. All right? The field's too soft. Figure it out. All right? You've got a couple of days here. They're not going to practice much anyways. They're going through a lot of walkthroughs right now. Obviously, tonight is media night. It's going to be a circus. We'd rather get our bets in, and we got basketball going on here as well tonight. Teddy covers. I look forward to Teddy's take on this Kansas and Kansas State game. It's a light night in the association. We've got a couple of games in the National Hockey League tonight, but we're going to jump in as far as the Super Bowl is concerned. And also something as well, like I said, is this a non-story, this little practice stuff? I don't think so. All right? I don't think so. As somebody that, you know, was in a band, is in a band, if everything sucks during the week and you can't practice, you've got a problem, right? So I don't think the players, I guarantee you the coaching staff are very perturbed by this. I'm sure a lot of players don't care. It's the big game, whatever, man. You're going to practice on a parking lot if you have to for a championship game. But I want to get into Mahomes. You know, Mahomes is the Mr. Squeaky clean, nice guy in all this. Is he really? His brother's out there groping waitresses and bars. His father's driving around. This guy's drunker than Andy Dick on New Year's Eve. I got to tell you, it's just, and remember the Super Bowl that they lost to Tampa? Andy Reid's kid got liquored up, popping pills like they're Tic Tacs, ends up smashing into people. What happened? They lost. Now you got Mahomes' father getting liquored up. Hey, Pat Sr., I think you can afford a ride, right? You ever heard of Uber? Uber Premium. I think you can afford it. Your son's in every damn commercial on TV. I think you can afford an Uber or a private driver. Like, Mahomes' family is a menace to society. I won't even get into his wife, who supposedly is a bad tipper. But that's another story. But all kidding aside, last time, remember, Andy Reid's the coach. His son gets arrested. They scored 9 points in the game. Now you're Mahomes. Do you really got to be worried about your father coming to Vegas and getting picked up by Vice this week? Something to think about. Listen, Mike Blewett is with us in the building. Mike Blewett is in the building. And no offense to Mike, but we've got the legend, the local, Teddy Covers, reunited at last. Let's do this thing. Countdown to kickoff is on.
Super Bowl is set in Vegas. We get a rematch from just a few years ago.
The only consistency in the playoffs has been Travis Kelce.
Brock Purdy, back-to-back weeks throwing one touchdown pass, right? You can't win MVP with one touchdown pass. I hate the Chiefs, but I bet on them.
This is going to be a game that is played inside a field goal now from a spread perspective.
All that matters is there's one game left, the big game.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
McCaffrey's not scoring 2 in this game. I should get 1 because he always does. 2 is a lot, and there's a reason why his 2+ is plus 260.
So those are the best bets to make, in my opinion, are the ones where the public might be going the opposite direction, driving the line in a certain way, and you can come back with bigger money at more books later in the week.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Jordan Clarkson is a walking bucket. He will shoot you in games. He will shoot you out of games. But he is the perfect sixth man bench production. A guy that can go get his own shot.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid's Super Bowl 58 coverage continues. I am Gabriel Morency. We're kicking it live at the MGM Grand, a beautiful MGM Grand, straight from the Strip in Las Vegas, Nevada. Countdown to kickoff is on. Tonight is media night. Roger Goodell just met with the assembled media, and we've brought in our media right now. Mr. Mike Blewett, SportsGrid's very own. Mike, good to see you.
Great to see you,
here
buddy.
in Las Vegas, Nevada. The last time we were here together was the National Football League Draft.
That's correct. What better place to spend it here at the MGM Grand, BetMGM Sportsbook behind us, and obviously we've got a repeat performance here of these two teams. It's going to be part of the story here is in the first 39 Super Bowls in NFL history, we had 8 repeat winners, but none in the last 18. Can the Chiefs run it back? Big storyline, obviously.
That is a great storyline that's not being talked about, actually, the lack of a repeat champion going back since the New England Patriots. And let's bring one of our insiders. We're looking forward to Ted Savransky's. Teddy covers picks. Teddy, it's great to see you, my man. It's been too long.
Morency.
Mr. Big Time TV. Syndicated everywhere. Teddy's a big star. It was hard to get him here.
No. It's that's you, my friend. But always fun to be here and excited to talk some big game action.
No, it's great to see you, Teddy. Let me ask you, actually, because Mike just brought it up. These two teams did play in the Super Bowl 4 years ago. Is there anything to take away from that game? Because in my personal opinion, I put very little time to next to nothing in sort of, I'm not going to lie, I did go over to box score. I did sort of kick the tires on it.
Yep, me too.
But, yeah, had to be done.
Yeah.
But they're such different teams right now, aren't they?
So, in terms of significant takeaways, absolutely not. In a Pick'em Super Bowl, we got the Shanahan factor. We have to talk
we
about
do have the same coaches, which is pretty important.
Yeah.
And we always talk about this with college trends. When you see, Michigan, or, Michigan is 6-2 against the spread, Michigan State or whatnot, you really go by the coaching staffs, right, Mike?
Yeah.
I mean, the coaching, they are the same coaching
It's the
staff.
common thread.
And to me, this is one of the key matchups. Everyone talks about the on-field stuff, but can Shanahan beat Reed?
I totally agree. I think that's the biggest storyline for me and why I'm leaning.
Or I should say Spagnuolo as well.
Right.
That's what I want to get.
No doubt. Coaching staffs for me are the biggest storyline here, and I do have concerns. You all said you looked through the box scores. I rewatched the game just a couple of days ago, and there was a point at which Jimmy G was 18 of 21 in that game, and people will pile on Jimmy G and say he closed the Super Bowl 2 of 10 when he had a 10-point lead. Well, who helped him close that Super Bowl out was Kyle Shanahan calling passes with a 10-point lead with 8 minutes to go. And I still have concerns from the 2016 Super Bowl when they blew a 25-point lead. I have concerns from what happened the other day. I have concerns what happened last week and 2 weeks ago. They were getting beat. They got outplayed by the Packers. So, yes, I have real concerns based on what happened 4 years ago.
Teddy, any concerns as far as Shanahan's concerned to carry on his point?
There's one more, too. If we're talking about Shanahan playoff failures, notable ones, what happened to him in Washington. Remember the one playoff game with RG3 where they had a 2-touchdown lead early, and one might argue that Shanahan had something to do with the collapse of Washington.
So Shanahan's basically a guy that's been on the verge of greatness numerous times.
Sure. Is this his time? I mean, maybe it's his time.
Similar to Harbaugh in college. Yeah, I mean, eventually you've got to break through.
Maybe. Nobody's do anything in this
Does he have the better team? Does he have the better team? He does. He has better players.
Does he?
I don't know if better team is a strong word, right? Strong words, but we cannot argue the San Francisco 49ers are more skilled and deeper than the Kansas City Chiefs are.
I think everybody loves their offensive scheme and their ability to confuse teams and get up early on teams, and they do play well from in front, which is why we've seen some concern in these playoffs, right? Trailed against the Packers, trailed against the Lions significantly, but everybody throwing their best pitch. Yeah, I think the Niners are the best team in the league.
Why is it, though, that we keep hearing this? I've heard this a lot about the Niners, how they didn't look great against Green Bay. They didn't look, they didn't look great. Buffalo were a missed field goal away from sending the game to overtime, essentially.
Yes, true.
And coulda, shoulda, woulda won. If it wasn't Buffalo, anybody else would have finished the job, Teddy.
Sure.
But people don't bring that up about as far as Kansas City.
Sure, and it's not like Baltimore was far away either.
No.
Zay Flowers
was the penalties, the fumbles,
inches.
But dude, just quickly on that, and Mike, you're a great numbers guy. Off the top of my head, how many yards did they rack up in the second half? 220, 218?
I mean, 5 punts and they didn't score on the road in a playoff game, and they still won, the Chiefs.
Yeah, in the second half, Baltimore dominated them.
Yeah,
they went up and down the field. They just
score.
Bend but don't break. You've got to give Spags credit for that.
Sure, and that's for all the criticism that's been levied at KC this season, and there's been a lot, their defense has been a dominant unit. It's been a playoff-winning unit. And, you ask me what's the undervalued commodity here, it's KC's defense.
What is it, 19-1 now to the under in the fourth quarter?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
19-1, Mike, which scares me because one of my favorite props every Super Bowl, guys, is will there be more points in the first half or the second half? And I bet the second half once again, Mike, but this is somewhat of a concern.
No doubt. I bet the Chiefs' second half unders and fourth quarter unders have been wildly profitable this season. Spagnuolo proved once again he's able to make adjustments. Look, that game in the AFC Championship game was 7-7. We're like, okay, we're going to get some points here, but it did not happen. The Chiefs were able to put up 10 more in the first half, and then, but for a field goal at the end of the game for the Ravens, they were not able to move the ball. Spagnuolo is excellent at making those adjustments, and the Chiefs' corners, to Teddy's point about the undervalued commodity, particularly the Chiefs' defensive backs, and Snead and McDuffie have been really good young players for them. Chris Jones gets the headlines. Nick Bolton makes big plays like he did in the Super Bowl.
But two of these guys.
But McDuffie and Snead have been awesome.
So this sounds crazy to say, Teddy, because normally we would say a high-scoring game would favor the Kansas City Chiefs and wouldn't favor San Francisco. But I'm thinking if this is a 2017 game, that's not good for San Francisco. Like, this is how Kansas City have won games, by these 27-10s. Nobody really scores more than 24 points on them, Teddy, to be honest.
No one all year has scored more.
And KC's offense isn't explosive. It's efficient on third down, right? Buffalo and Baltimore got him into third down God knows how many times. And they just, you can't stop Mahomes. You've got him, look on the last play when they hit Valdez-Scantling for the long play, Teddy. So I'm saying, if San Francisco can't score, they're in trouble. I think San Francisco win this game, but I've got them winning like 27-24. They're going to need to get into 27, 28-point territory, in my opinion.
Sure. So, I mean, I guess you and I have a different game script here, because I am expecting a lower scoring game, but it's not because I'm expecting either defense to dominate. And let's not forget, we talk about San Francisco and how good they've been and how good they were, and they're the better team. So Robert Saleh's a head coach now. D'Amico Ryan's the head coach now. Steve Wilkes, this defense hasn't been as good, all right, as the talent level. That they still have a lot of talent, but the defense flat out hasn't been as good. And when you look at San Fran over the back half of the campaign, hey, November, October, best team in the league by far. I had them a field goal better than everyone.
And they got smashed by Baltimore on the Christmas night. Yeah.
Look at them since Thanksgiving. They beat Philly right when Philly was starting to collapse. They blew out Philly. And since then, that's 2 months.
Doesn't it all?
It feels like a very different team, kind of on both sides of the ball.
Isn't it only those survive in advance?
Yes.
Because I heard the same things, and not to compare college and NFL.
Yeah.
But jump in, Mike. I heard the same things about the Michigan Wolverines offense.
Sure.
Going into the playoffs. Yeah. Well, look at J.J. McCarthy over the last 4 games, only thrown 2 touchdowns. They were, let's run the ball, win, and advance.
They did enough.
Right? You did enough. Yeah. Are you holding San Francisco's, are you capping what they've looked like?
I think it has to play a role in
didn't the Chiefs get blown out by the Raiders?
Sure, the Chiefs, and to your point about the Chiefs' offense, they've only hit 30 points 3 times this season. That's not typical. And by the way, it was against the Bears, Chargers, and Raiders, 3 teams that have had a lot of issues over the course of the year.
And the Bills in the postseason, too.
True. So, but what I would say...
Don't bring up the Bills.
The postseason. Doing the playoffs is worth even more.
So I think, for me personally, I have to factor in what Teddy was talking about and how recently they haven't been playing their best football.
All right, more with Teddy and Mike on the other side. We got Griffin Murphy in the house. We got Pete Shep and more. Let's roll.
$38, $41, $30, $30. 9 assists, 8 assists, 7 assists, 8 assists. If Jalen Brunson can continue to do this and the Knicks continue to overachieve and play themselves into a top 5 seed in the East, Jalen Brunson should get better consideration for the MVP. It is deserved.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but he's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different like roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
He feels like he's got unfinished business, right? He won the national championship, did what he said he wanted to do, going back to Ann Arbor.
And, he coached, I think, with the Raiders as an assistant, and then got the job with the Niners, and then went to title games, went to Super Bowls, lost to his brother. And I think you're right, unfinished business, go back, try to win a Super Bowl.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on
Countdown to kickoff continues. I am Gabriel Morency. We're throwing it down live at the beautiful MGM Grand, straight from the Strip in Las Vegas, Nevada. Super Bowl 58. The practices were a big controversy, the practice field, earlier in the day. Tonight is the circus media night, when you get all kinds of crazy people asking crazy questions. I'm the crazy person here, and I'm asking Mike Blewett and Teddy Covers questions. But, Teddy, I wanted to ask you, as somebody that's lived in Las Vegas for how long now? 30 years?
25. Moved out here in 98.
To 25, and I lived here before and used to hang out with Teddy and the late, great Dave Malinsky all the time. So who would have ever imagined, and here we are right now, hosting a Super Bowl.
It's impossible.
In Las Vegas.
It's impossible, dude. It was, again, we talked about it off air. It was 10 years ago that Tony Romo got kicked out for the fantasy conference.
Yeah, he couldn't have a fantasy football.
Yeah, they were like a they made a $500,000 fine, and they wouldn't let him do it. I mean, it was a huge deal.
Yeah. And it wasn't even necessarily big prize money associated with that fantasy football championship. It was just, let's organize a league and promote it, and still they came down hard on it, to your point.
And now Las Vegas really is the sports capital.
Yeah.
It really is. If you look at all the conference college basketball tournaments that are here, USA Basketball, the NBA Summer League, I mean, it's basically 365 right now.
Sure. And obviously, the A's coming, Raiders already here. And
all of which basically
Knights winning titles.
All of which basically had a negative effect on UNLV.
Yes and no. I mean, it's not. UNLV had the best football season they've had
that is a good point. You're right. So I guess UNLV basketball is.
I mean, it went south with Raleigh Massimino and never got right.
That is a good point as far as the football program is concerned. There seemed to be some enthusiasm for the first time.
Again, this I think it might be my 26th football season. My first Super Bowl was the Broncos Falcons. It was my first Super Bowl that I lived in town. So however many.
The Dirty Bird one.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah. That was easy. That was an easy Super Bowl. I didn't think about it.
Last time we had a running back Super Bowl MVP was that Super Bowl.
Wow.
Terrell Davis.
Tim Dwight with the kick return touchdown was the only thing that made me crazy in that game.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, what about this MVP market? What are you looking at?
So I think it's obviously easy to say that, it's got to be a quarterback. But if you look back the last 10 years, we've had a couple of wide receivers. We've had actually 2 linebackers in the last 10 years prior to this one. 2 wide receivers, 2 linebackers. And if you look back the last 24 this century, we've got a couple of more linebackers in there. We have a free safety in there. We have a couple of extra wide receivers in Holmes and Ward and Deion Branch. So historically, yes, there are a lot of quarterbacks. But if you want to throw some bombs, I'm looking at guys like Isaiah Pacheco, who touched the ball 28 times in the AFC Championship game, like Deebo Samuel, who's obviously a very much a difference maker, and they're happy to use in the red zone. So those are, if you're looking at long shots for Super Bowl MVP.
And there's not value with McCaffrey, but he has to be brought into the conversation.
Of course.
And normally, Teddy, it's kind of not clear cut, even though there's been other non-quarterbacks that win. But generally, the winning quarterback is going to win. But it's not really the case automatically. A good example is Mahomes is the MVP favorite, but the Niners are favored in the game because people don't believe there's a guarantee that Brock Purdy would be the MVP.
There's more options for San Fran.
Yeah.
There's more likely options for San Fran than there would be for Kansas City. But, I mean, let's be real about this. There aren't going to be a lot of positive expectation wagers out there this week. All right? There aren't. And yet, the Super Bowl is Christmas for sports bettors. Plain and simple. It's a holiday for all of us. So how do you resolve that? For me, it's just you keep your unit sizes small, man. This is a day to make as many bets as you want. If you're betting pizza money,
and
you get away.
I remember one of the Super Bowls, and I've been here, guys. I've been doing this a long time as well. And I used to be that guy. Super Bowl's the last game of the year. I need to win big on the way out. I end up putting literally 20,000, 15,000, 22,000. When you don't win, you're spending the next 6 months crying about it after the fact. And the worst is you're not even a fan of these teams in these games. You end up betting. I lost money on Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos, right? So I'm not even a fan. As you get older, you realize there is no luck, right, in these championship games. And especially in a game like this, in which the game is basically a pick 'em. But with that being stated, I diversify my portfolio I have a lot of different props, you know, traditional props that I play in a couple of different ways that I'm going to attack this. Let me ask you guys about this one. I'll ask you about this one, Mike.
Yeah.
Will there be an octopus? And I'm
had
thinking,
one
what
last
does this
year.
mean? Somebody going to throw an octopus? What's the Detroit Red Wing game? So an octopus, guys, if you see it, you're wondering, what the hell is an octopus? An octopus is if a player scores the touchdown and then the 2-point convert after. Not later in the game, but he gets all 8 points.
Correct.
In a row. It had never happened in a Super Bowl before until last year.
Jalen Hurts.
It's plus 1,300 this year. What do you think? Is it worth a sprinkle just because we talked about it? We're going to hate ourselves if we don't take it?
I'll bet you that's the most profitable bet that the books take every year. People love that bet because it's fun, it sounds fun, and to your point, it hadn't happened, and it took the team that is the most efficient in goal line offense.
Yeah, but I remember there was
it.
never safeties in a Super Bowl. Then like 3 years in a row there were safeties.
Sure. And I remember what Jimmy Vaccaro said after the third year of the safety. He's like, we're going to start booking the yes-no safety the day after the Super Bowl for next year. I'll take all the yes backs we can get. And, of course, it didn't hit the next year, and everything was fine.
What do you think about this octopus at plus 1,300?
Of course you bet the no. Come on. You bet the no on the – look, all of the win a little or bet a little to win a lot props, they're designed to attract recreational players, all right? If you want to throw your money around on some bet a little to win a lot props, knock yourself out. They're all negative expectations.
Well, in
every
fact,
one of them.
yeah, I believe
Whether
I
it's
saw.
no OT, no safety, the wise guys are coming in betting the nose on all this stuff, and they're betting it heavy. You know, they're betting it for millions of dollars. So
and willing to live with the consequences, believing the numbers are on their side.
Sure, I wish they are. Again, the OT finally hit. All right, finally hit. And they all took a bath that day. And how many years has it been since? And they keep betting it still every year, and they made all their money back and more already.
Yeah,
you know.
So Mike is going to be here all week as well.
I will.
But Mike's just going to be with us for a couple more minutes. So what are some of the early plays you want to share with us, Mike, that you're looking at?
So I'm leaning towards the Chiefs in this game. And I mentioned that the bombs that you could throw on Super Bowl MVP, but it is worth noting it's important to note what Teddy said, is that I'm talking about if you want to make a play for a long shot, those are the guys you should think about. But 35-1, 25-1, those aren't positive expectation plays. I think some of the other things I'm really looking at, because this total has been locked in concrete for the last 7 days, I'm really
moved an inch.
Yeah,
I saw 48s pop up, and they popped up at a couple of leading indicator books. I thought the market was going to move, and the market basically gave him the finger.
So I really am leaning towards second half and the score being pretty low there. So second half unders, fourth quarter unders, that's the type of thing that I feel really good about.
Interesting. What about player props?
Player props, I think you make a great point about Travis Kelce. While the Chiefs' offense isn't particularly dynamic like we've seen in years past, it is predictable. Travis Kelce, 11 for 11. Isaiah Pacheco, 28 touches. Rashee Rice is the tertiary target there.
He was 8 for 9, Mike, and that's something that really fascinates me. Yeah. I don't think people...
Fantastic rookie
I don't think people give that enough credence, actually, how amazing it is that the other team knows they're going to throw to Travis Kelce. Yet... they were 11 for 11, Teddy.
Yeah.
11 targets, 11 catches. Rashee Rice was targeted 9 times in the last game, Mike, with 8 catches.
Absolutely. And you had a couple from MVS, and Justin Watson gets in there. But I'm telling you, this is a highly concentrated offense right now.
They're the only 3 guys that have scored, though, in the playoffs.
Yes, of course.
Rice, Kelce, and Mahomes.
Yeah, and by the way, Kelce did it against Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen. Those are not slouches. Unfortunately, he has to do it again against Drake Greenlaw and Fred Warner. So he's got his work cut out for him, but he aced the test last week, and I expect him to do pretty well this week.
Here's a prop that I like, guys, and I think you're getting plus money for this. Who's going to catch the player to record the first reception for the San Francisco 49ers?
Okay.
Christian McCaffrey's plus 275.
Oh, I like it.
I've already put the bet in. I could totally see first drive of the game, little dump-off screenplay to McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
And Travis Kelce, for the record, is plus 175.
What's Debo on that one, too?
You like Debo on this?
That's interesting, too.
Yeah, but maybe a little shovel or something.
Because remember how they tried to get him so involved early? They're like, we have to get Debo involved. He's healthy. We have to get him involved early, because I think there was a real concern of how long Debo was going to last in that game. Now he made it all the way through.
I would be surprised. So I played both these plays. If I hit one of them, fine, I'm going to make money. So I got Travis Kelce to record the first reception for the Kansas City Chiefs. I've got Christian McCaffrey at plus 275 to record the first reception for the San Francisco 49ers. And guys, for the last 5 Super Bowls, the first offensive play of the game has been a run play, Teddy.
Sure.
And I believe that it's going to be a run play again this year. I know you think Pacheco's going to be a big part of the Kansas City offense. I believe McCaffrey's going to be a massive part of San Francisco's offense. I've already put this play in as well. I'm right. You just talked about the sharps and the pros riding the number. This is something that I personally like. And I'm also riding the number that 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls has started off with a rush.
These are two teams that in their best case scenario, they're trying to run the football. You know, that's what they want to do. So having any plus price rushing prop in my mind,
this one was not plus.
Is reasonable.
This one was not, sorry. It's like minus 130, maybe 40 even, I think. A plus one that I did play, Mike, and this one cashed last year, and I knew Philadelphia was going to score the first touchdown last year, but I like Kansas City in the game. And it would not surprise me. This is my early week vision. This game starts off with a field goal, Butker. I think Kansas City are going to score first. But, you know, 5 of the last 7 Super Bowls, the team that scores first has lost the game. And this one is plus money, Teddy, plus 145. The team that doesn't score first wins the Super Bowl, plus 145. I'm playing it.
It's a pick'em in a pick'em game. That's a live wager.
Yeah, exactly, and it can go either way. We'll see you tomorrow. Mike Blewett.
Absolutely.
$38-41-30-30. 9 assists, 8 assists, 7 assists, 8 assists. If Jalen Brunson can continue to do this and the Knicks continue to overachieve and play themselves into a top 5 seed in the East, Jalen Brunson should get better consideration for the MVP. It is deserved.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right now.
Super Bowl is set in Vegas. We got a rematch from just a few years ago.
The only consistency in the playoffs has been Travis Kelce.
Brock Purdy, back-to-back weeks throwing 1 touchdown pass, right? You can't win MVP with 1 touchdown pass.
I hate the Chiefs, but I bet on them.
This is going to be a game that is played inside a field goal now from a spread perspective.
All that matters is there's 1 game left, the big game.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
McCaffrey's not scoring 2 in this game. Should get 1, because he always does. 2 is a lot, and there's a reason why his 2+ is plus 260.
So those are the best bets to make, in my opinion, are the ones where the public might be going the opposite direction, driving the line in a certain way, and you can come back with bigger money at more books later in the week.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Jordan Clarkson is a walking bucket. He will shoot you in games. He will shoot you out of games. But he is the perfect 6th man for a team looking for bench production. A guy that can go get his own shot.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be.
we are throwing it down live in Las Vegas, Nevada. Let the party begin. Countdown to kickoff is on. Countdown to the big game. And I'll tell you what, there's been some line moves at different books right now. We have our first Super Bowl controversy. There's always going to be a controversy and many more. But the San Francisco 49ers don't like their practice facility. They're not happy with the field. The field is too soft. And before anybody takes a pot shot at UNLV, it is up to NFL standards. It passed the NFL's test. But the San Francisco 49ers, it's like a mattress and a bed. Turns out the Niners prefer a harder practice field and 70 degrees of gravity force. I guess this one is 50. I don't know, Pete. I didn't think we were going to be talking about gravity forces on the field. Our boy Pete Shepard from the Tony Bruno Sports Network steps up and in. Good to see you, Pete.
Okay, you're real.
Yeah, it's real in person.
It's been over a decade. You've been kind enough to come on all the stations I've worked at, 3 or 4 over the years, at various times. You've been so kind. And the one fault that you have is I ask you every year, give me your address so I can send you something, some kind of a gift, and you never do.
No, I enjoy coming on. You don't have to compensate me for my time. But I tell you what, when you're in this business for as long as you and I have been, over the years you eventually end up meeting everybody for the most part. But there's still people that you're on different sides of the country, and even though you might know each other on the air, you've actually never met. And me and Pete go way back.
Yep.
Met through our boy Jimmy Murphy, and he's doing great work now. He's big time in the NHL with the Boston Bruins. Great job, Murph. But I always thought it was fascinating, and one of the craziest, I remember when you were on in Boston, I used to come on the pregame show. Like Field Yates was on and stuff, and I was giving picks before.
It was awesome.
I never thought I'd be giving picks before a New England Patriot game. On the official broadcast, you'd hear the music in the background, down, and I'd be giving the picks. I was like, I can't believe I'm on the Patriots pregame show, but it was awesome.
It was great. You were fantastic. Everybody loved you. I brought you on. I told my program director at the time, I said, Gabe Morency's coming on. He had some other
handicap or whatever guy.
Not all handicapper. That I was like, no. I said, Gabe is coming on, and immediately, the first 5 minutes, my producer's saying in my ear, it's like, this guy's awesome. I told you.
Great.
I told you. I said, but it's not just about the handicapping; it's the stories and everything else. And now on the Tony Bruno Sports Network, when you come on with me on Fridays, you can cuss a little bit.
I still have to get used to that. I haven't really let loose yet.
One time, you said, can we?
Here we can't. No. We're very corporate, as you can see.
You came on last week and said, and you I didn't even bring it up because I didn't want to hurt your feelings. You said, the Buffalo Bills found a way to F it up.
Yeah. Well, listen, we have a great life, and we're blessed to be here. But one of these years, it would be nice if my Buffalo Bills would actually be in the big game. But we've got a great game this year, a rematch from 4 years ago. Although I really don't know. What do you think about this, Pete? How much stock do you put in that game? What can you really take away from that game? They feel like two completely different teams to me.
Zero, because if Garoppolo makes that completion at the end of the game, the 49ers win. And then who knows what we're talking about here.
And don't forget, Tyreek Hill was the one that made the big play for the Kansas City Chiefs that won the game, the deep pass late.
Yeah, I don't put any stock in that. I really don't. If it was last year or something, it might be a different story. Jimmy G's not the quarterback anymore. But now you're telling me, and I retweeted your tweet on my show this morning, the 49ers are psychologically damaged. It's in their head. So I'm all over the Chiefs now because of the field. It's all in their head. The practice field, they're going to be distracted. They're going to be disturbed. All the excuses.
I don't like it. Listen, I don't think it's the end of the world. But at the same point in time, it's like, I've never heard this before. Have you ever heard of a team in the Super Bowl that doesn't know where they're going to practice? Like days before the game. Like this is, it's just insanity. Now, it's going to get worked out. I knew right away, Pete, when I saw it was announced. As somebody that's lived here, and UNLV, listen, UNLV now, they play at Allegiant Stadium.
To my interns, be careful.
Yeah, but beautiful facility.
Yes.
But they're Sam Boyd Stadium. You ever been to Sam Boyd Stadium?
I have not.
It's on top of a toxic dump. Like it's literally, there used to be like a garbage dump. There's like Air Force waste
in
the
ground.
ground.
Cunningham survived that.
Barely. All right, barely. So, like their facilities were not up. Like Bishop Gorman, the high school's facilities were always known as nicer than UNLV's. But their Fertittas put a lot of money into this new facility. It is state of the art. You've got a weight room, and it was state of the art. But as we stated, the Niners found that the field was just a little soft. and they don't like soft practice fields. I think it'll get worked out, but it's not, as somebody that likes San Francisco, it's not what I want to see. No, it's sort of like, though, a band whose sound check got screwed up. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, that's not good. But the other thing, too, we were talking about this a while ago. In Phoenix, we were there for the Super Bowl, but even the Cardinals, every game, every home game, they undo the turf and then they wheel it back in. I thought I remember even at the Super Bowl there was some concern about how.
Yeah, they took the Cardinals turf out and they brought in new turf. Well, it's like, why don't you just use the Cardinals turf?
Well, that's what they're doing now. They're putting in new turf. That's not the Raiders turf they're putting in. It's been coming. It's flown in from California, and people are concerned. Maybe
it seems like they overthink a little bit with this stuff, right? It's like, listen, guys, we've been playing NFL football on this field all year.
Yeah.
We're playing the Super Bowl on this field. Like, what's the problem?
Who else plays on that field right now? Anybody? They have a soccer team that plays on that field at all?
Well, the Raiders haven't been on in a little while.
That's
you know what? I think the last time it would have been a Pac-12 game or something like that. All kidding aside.
Yeah.
But as far as the game is concerned, I think that from the handicapping perspective and from the fan perspective, it gets annoying. Listen, you were a Patriot guy. Yeah. And it was sort of like, God, Tom Brady again, 10 Super Bowls. Now we're into this Mahomes world right now.
See, I like it.
And then some people wanted Detroit, right, to, the upstart. Yeah. But now this is blue blood. This is like, Kentucky, North Carolina or something. And you know what I mean? This is blue blood, San Francisco 49ers, modern dynasty, old dynasty. Mahomes trying to chase down Joe Montana's legacies. And how about this, too? I was thinking about this. Mm-hmm. There's a big difference, bro, between being 3-1 in the Super Bowl and 2-2. Like, there's a lot on the line for Mahomes here, too.
Yeah, but there is. But, his legacy is already sealed.
No, it is. But it's a lot like LeBron and Jordan. Yeah. There's a difference between never losing in these games.
Yeah. But sometimes, it is a team sport game. I don't know if you know this.
I guess.
It's a team sport. The quarterback always
They blame the quarterback all the time.
Sometimes they blame the coordinators. But, yeah, no.
So who do you like? Who are you leaning with?
I'm leaning towards Kansas City in this. I think right now it's a field goal game. I like the over. Some books have it between -1.5 to -2.5, depending. San Fran favorite. I haven't seen any.
Hey, listen, a teaser's great, isn't it? Kansas City up to +9 and over 40.5.
I'm with you. I'm teaser City. I saw a good prop bet from somebody text one in today that did it here. He's got at +134. The total over 46, and Kansas City +6.5, and he got it at +134. I kind of like that. I kind of like that. Who are you leaning towards right now?
I'm leaning towards San Francisco, and I don't know if this is out of spite because I'm tired of the Chiefs. And yeah, they're our nemesis. I will say this though: I'm not anti-Taylor Swift. I'm not anti-Travis Kelce.
Not his fault.
I think Kelsey's a cool dude, actually.
I do too. It's not her fault they put her on TV all the time. I think people have gotten ridiculously out of control. They make it political, which is stupid.
I don't understand how that happened.
Because people are just reaching.
Like, what was this? Like, I don't know. Like,
reaching. No. Bob Costas came on the other day and said, like, if she wore a MAGA hat, then this wouldn't be an issue at all. I just think
just leave her alone. She's a pop star.
She doesn't have a sign up at all these games saying, I'm Taylor Swift, show me. She doesn't do that.
No.
And then she was assaulted kind of in the runway by some woman swearing at everything else.
And you saw,
get a life.
You even saw her once at the game even said, will you effing leave me alone?
Yes.
Like the camera, she was like, come on, leave me alone. Like,
yeah,
it's not her fault. I don't have a problem with it. If anything, Mahomes' family's out of control. His brother's out of control. I got to tell you, too. Listen. That guy was lit. Look at that picture, bro. There's drunk driving and there's lit drunk driving.
Absolutely. and you got to feel bad for Patrick. I mean, his dad was pretty good Major League Baseball player back in the day. His brother's just an a-hole, nut job.
Yeah.
And the dad is just, you got to deal with that. And
he's got his wife out there talking all the time online. It never ends for him. Yeah.
His wife with a pedantic blathering, good term, just going on and on. I mean, that point, you talk about being distracted. He's probably like, geez, I can't wait for the game. Everybody get the hell away from me.
So
nobody's coming. I'm not taking any family, no friends.
No, if I was him, I'd shut them all down. A bet that I did make, I do like the over of this game. I did. There's a prop that I like. Will both teams score 20 points or more? And I think they will. The good thing about this is, too, it sort of gets you into – you win that bet, and then you don't have to worry so much if you lose the side. Because I do think there's going to be points. I like the over, the 47.5. I don't middle games, Pete. I generally don't try to get cute.
I'm with you. You're on the same page on a lot of things.
But with this is a little different. You look at the last couple of Super Bowls. Super Bowls historically in the old days used to be blowouts.
Yes.
Right? They're not anymore.
By the NFC most of the time.
Yeah, they're not anymore.
No.
Look, last year was 38-35. The year before was, 23-20.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 years in a row, we've had 3-point games.
Yeah.
Right?
All my Patriot ones are all close. Win or lose, all close.
Yeah, that's exactly. So that's why I think, and if you look at Kansas City playoff games even, they're all close, right? So I really don't have a problem with that Kansas City teaser to the over, but then buying back and giving me San Francisco on the money line as well.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great way to middle of the game. Well, that's what smart professionals like yourself do, unlike unprofessionals like me. I sometimes I overthink stuff. I find myself lately I'm overthinking stuff. And of course the injury report means a lot. But right now, if I had to, I don't want to trust my gut all the time. My gut is telling me Kansas City. But in my other gut, which is right over here, is telling me just bet the over. Don't worry about the side. Don't even worry about the side.
Well, that's why I'm betting the teaser to Kansas City, and I never do that. But I'm taking Kansas City, the over and bet San Francisco, and basically give me points, give me a close football game. I'm going to have so many props as well. I don't like betting against Mahomes. I mean, he's the modern Michael Jordan.
Look at against the spread. Look at the numbers.
Yes.
13-1 when he's an underdog.
Oh, yeah, no. So he's 11-1-1. 11-1-1 ATS. But this is another one, Pete, that people don't talk about. He's now 18-3 against the spread when the point spread is 3 points or less either way, which means big games. So 18-3 against the spread now in 21 of these. I think San Francisco are deeper. I mean, they're only the fourth team in NFL history, guys, to have four guys. Their quarterback generated, they got four guys over 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's crazy, like the production that they have. You've got to stop McCaffrey. You've got to stop Samuel. You've got to stop Ayuk. You've got to stop Kittle. Right? Yeah. They have so much. Can Kyle Shanahan get over the top? We've got about a minute and a half left here, Pete. And Pete's going to be around all week.
Yep.
We got to, get him to hang out with us over at MGM, the place to be on the Strip, the MGM Grand. But we got about a minute here. Mm-hmm. Make yourself seem smart on the way out. Give some people some winners here, Mr. Shepard, and let people know where they can find you, too.
Well, you're talking about winners in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to
go with some props. What do you got?
I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I'm going to go with the over. Whatever. I saw McCaffrey, anytime touchdown.
Minus 225.
I don't care. Lay it. Lay it. He's going to score a touchdown.
He scored a touchdown in 24 of their last 27 games.
Yeah, I'm not worried about laying the juice. Normally, I wouldn't lay that type of juice. I absolutely would do it. Probably any Patrick Mahomes, both quarterbacks, +2 over touchdown passes.
Oh, you think they're both going to throw over 1.5 touchdowns, get two or more?
Yes.
Two or more, huh?
Yep. So I like that, and also I like Pacheco over whatever. I think that's
67.5.
I'm taking over.
I think Pacheco is going to be a massive part of this. One bet I'll do, and listen, sometimes keep it simple, stupid works. I'm taking Travis Kelce over 6.5 receptions.
Oh,
the guy had 11 receptions in the last game on 11 targets. That's what's so.
$38, 40, 9 assists, 8 assists, 7 assists, 8 assists. If Jalen Brunson can continue to do this and the Knicks continue to overachieve and play themselves into a top 5 seed in the East, Jalen Brunson should get better consideration for the MVP. It is deserved.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. the Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
He feels like he's got unfinished business, right? He won the national championship, did what he said he wanted to do going back to Ann Arbor.
And, he coached, I think, with the Raiders as an assistant and then got the job with the Niners and then went to title games, went to Super Bowls, lost to his brother. And I think you're right, unfinished business, go back, try to win a Super Bowl.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on
Shout out to our boy Pete Shepard, who I actually join every Friday morning on the Tony Bruno Sports Radio Network. And in fact, maybe we're going to speak with Tony later in the week. We'll see if we can get the legend on Tony Bruno on the program. Speaking of legends, Teddy Covers is going to rejoin us for the second hour of the program. We're going to find out what Teddy likes for the championship game. And we've got Griffin Murphy stepping up in it, who's joined us lately. On the late night anger management class. Now we're going to have him in person. He just moved to Vegas recently, so it's perfect timing for him. Vegas is the place to be. MGM is the place to be. We're just getting started. It's Monday. Super Bowl week really starts to get crazy around Wednesday and stuff. But I'll tell you what, I've seen more Chief fans lingering early in the week so far. But you know what I've seen the most of? Edmonton Oiler fans, to be honest. As the Edmonton Oiler fans have taken over Vegas, the Oilers have a 16-game win streak. They're playing the Las Vegas Golden Knights on Tuesday night, their first game back after the All-Star break. So Edmonton Oiler fans, number one, Edmonton is cold as hell. So they're looking for a reason to get out of Edmonton, and their team is red hot. So they're going to take this building over tomorrow night. I tell you what, quick pick as far as this game is concerned. It's right across the street from us. I actually might go to the game after the show tomorrow. How do I not go? It's across the street. There's also the media party tomorrow night, too. I've got decisions to make, baby. But if you're on a 16-game win streak, the last thing you want is the All-Star break. I think it's going to catch up to them. I think Vegas is the play tomorrow night. But never mind the National Hockey League. We're talking Super Bowl. And we're going to get into Patrick Mahomes on the other side of this and some interesting numbers as far as Mahomes. Mahomes has thrown more interceptions, 4, in the 3 Super Bowls that he's played in, and the combined in the other 14 playoff games. Patrick Mahomes in the regular season, 69% completion percentage. Super Bowls, it dips to 62. For all of his greatness, he hasn't lit it up in these Super Bowls. And it's not like they have a ton of weapons. A lot of stuff to break down on the other side. Let's roll. We are kicking it live at the beautiful MGM Grand, straight from the Strip in Las Vegas, Nevada. Countdown to Super Bowl 58 is on. We're kicking the tires. We're looking under the hood right now as far as the props are concerned. The big story of the day earlier in the day was the San Francisco 49ers are unhappy with their practice field. It's too soft. Listen, I am an expert on grass, but not on field turf, okay? But I will tell you this. There's like 100 grams of gravity, all right? And there's a standard. It has to be 100 grams of gravity. The San Francisco 49ers, like 70 grams of gravity. The field was 50, Teddy, so now we're experts. We're like Snoop Dogg.
They're already making excuses.
Is this the thing?
It's already.
So let me ask you, Teddy, and let's welcome Griffin into the house. Griffin Murphy, good to see you, my man.
Thank you, Gabe. Happy to be here, brother.
Hey, great stuff. Thanks for coming down. Great to have you here. So, Teddy, I've been talking a lot about this because it is a story, this practice field. What do you make of this? The negative for the 49ers? Is this in their head already this week? Or, like, what do you make of this?
Yes, it's a negative for the 49ers. I mean, I don't see how you frame it any other way. You know, instead of focusing on the task at hand, Perry from Kansas City, they're thinking about the practice field. Whether it's management, whether it's...
All right, hold on, Teddy. We've got an audio issue, I understand, with Teddy. We'll get Teddy's audio worked out. So, Griffin, so I know you know the story now about the practice facility.
Absolutely.
The Niners basically wanted to move.
Yes.
They suggested, listen, we'll just go to the Raiders facility later in the day after the Chiefs are done, and they didn't have a problem with that. I saw Roger Goodell's press conference that just happened about 2 hours ago. He was very non-sympathetic to them.
Sure.
He got sarcastic when asked the question, and he said, what, the practice field that 23 experts have approved? He said the practice field that they brought in, that they wanted, and now it's too soft. And he basically said, it's up to NFL standards. There's not much we can do about this. If you like San Francisco, and I don't know if you do, you don't have to tell us yet.
Sure.
But like Teddy said, it's not an ideal situation for them if they're worried about getting hurt on this practice field.
Well, Gabe, it's one of those things where, they're kind of put in a little bit of more of a leniency side to where it's a negative factor, especially when you're going to deal with a team like the Kansas City Chiefs who have all this experience, and now they're coming in and they're already aggressive. They're already ready to go. You've got Patrick Mahomes set in stone. You've already know that the San Francisco Niners team is coming in, and Roger Goodell, he doesn't care. He just wants a good show. He wants a good Super Bowl. He wants a good game. So, yes, it's definitely a linear factor on the vice side for them, where I look at it, Chiefs are definitely getting a little bit more momentum when it comes to that side of the factor, for sure.
I thought coming in, and do we have Teddy back? I
hope so.
Yeah, all right, here we go. Yeah, I thought coming in, Teddy, when I saw that the Chiefs got the Raiders facility,
right,
and that the Niners got UNLV's facility, I knew right away this is going to be a problem.
Well, I advantage Kansas City. I don't know if that's a problem. It's a problem only if you like San Francisco.
Yes, no, but it really is.
But I mean, this narrative of this is what the league wants, and the league wants. It's certainly.
No, I don't think the league said let's send San Francisco to,
Dude, if you read the stuff online, the league has this thing completely scripted already.
Because the AFC is the home team. That's why they got the Raiders facility, point blank. There was nothing nefarious about it.
Sure, and the Knicks got Patrick
Taylor
Ewing.
Swift had nothing to do with it. That's what I'm getting at.
The Knicks got Ewing because the lottery was legit, and the Lakers beat the Kings.
That was a forward pass with the Titans and the Bills, but that's another story.
Sure. But the conspiracy theorists are out in
heavily.
Full force.
They've already got what they wanted, I think. Listen, no one can deny that Taylor Swift has brought popularity to the National Football.
She's brought money. She's brought popularity. She's brought everything.
They've gotten like $300 million in brand-free revenue advertising out of it. I saw a study that said 24% of Taylor Swift fans actually do follow the Chiefs now.
Sure.
And when you consider how many fans she has, it's quite a lot, 24%. Right?
Oh, yeah. You seen Travis Kelce's Instagram, his social media? Yeah. Everything. It's huge.
Oh, no, listen. He's, like his agent said, he's going to be the next Rock. They're setting him up to be, the next superstar. But with all that being stated, I don't think Bill Vinovich, who is the referee, or the National Football League, I don't buy into that stuff. But I did want to get to the ref, actually, Teddy. Because you had something to say about this?
Well, yeah, but when it comes to the facility, you know how the Raiders or the Chiefs have better facilities in theory than San Francisco does. That's the kind of thing that, even though they're the home team in the Super Bowl in theory, that's the kind of thing that people jump on and go, oh, look, the league wants this, the league wants that. Even if it's not a ref making a call, it's still some evidence somewhere that people are buying into. And I think, you know, if you want to bet that way, knock yourself out.
No, I tell you what, I've said this before. And honestly, the NBA does care who's in the finals.
Absolutely.
The NBA didn't like the Raptors winning, right? They don't want the Sacramento Kings. We've seen this before. The NBA does care about who's in the finals. The National Hockey League, very happy Vegas won, right? Very happy that Tampa won, more so than if Montreal won or Toronto won. They're already converts there. The Super Bowl is the Super Bowl. The Jags could freaking play against the Arizona Cardinals in the Super Bowl, and there's going to be 90 million people watching, whether Taylor Swift is there or not, bro.
Absolutely.
Just point blank.
And Casey's already here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so speaking of the referee, though, it's actually the same ref, Teddy, as the last game.
Uh-oh.
It's Bill Vinovich.
What does that mean?
Now, well, if it was the Buffalo Bills playing, and our boy Sam Yarnell, one of our producers here, knows, Bill doesn't like the Bills, all right? But let the conspiracy theorists begin, because as you stated, people flip out about everything nowadays. The sky is black. No, it's not, right? For the record, Vinovich 5-2 in the last 5 years with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Uh-oh.
San Francisco 49ers 2-4.
Uh-oh.
Bill Vinovich, this is his third Super Bowl, but this is his second Super Bowl as the head referee. All right? But he was the head referee the last time these two teams played.
But Gabe, all of this stuff, KC, you still like San Fran?
Yeah, because I'm not very smart. No, I'm an idiot. I'm doing it out of spite. I'm just sick of the whole. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it all. I'm sick of it all. And I do actually think San Francisco have what it takes, personnel-wise, to win this game. But, and we'll get to some of your props here, Griff.
Sure.
But I will tell you what, speaking of the referee, so Bill Vinovich is the referee. Vinovich actually, the last Super Bowl, if you look back, this is something I did study. Reviewed the officiating of the last Super Bowl.
Okay.
People were more critical of the non-calls. And I don't know how you feel about this. Let me throw it to you.
Total penalties under.
Well, this is where I'm going. I've already placed the bet. The total accepted penalties in this year's Super Bowl is 10.5. I told you Oiler fans are taking the joint over here. 16 in a row. Look at these guys. They think they own it. See what I'm saying? Yeah, I know. It's 17 after tomorrow. So the accepted penalties is 10.5. You notice they're not calling pass interference anymore in the NFL. They've been letting people mug. There'll be the random call, the roughing the quarterback that people don't like and think it's soft, but they've been letting the players play. And we'll get into this on the other side and why I like the under 10.5 penalties.
$38, 41, 30. 9 assists, 8 assists, 7 assists, 8 assists. If Jalen Brunson can continue to do this and the Knicks continue to overachieve and play themselves into a top 5 seed in the East, Jalen Brunson should get better consideration for the MVP. It is deserved.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different like roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
He feels like he's got unfinished business, right? He won the national championship, did what he said he wanted to do going back to Ann Arbor.
And, he coached, I think, with the Raiders as an assistant and then got the job with the Niners and then went to title games, went to Super Bowls, lost to his brother. And I think you're right, unfinished business, go back, try to win a Super Bowl.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern.
Live at the MGM Grand, straight from the Strip in Las Vegas, Nevada. Countdown to kickoff is on. We've got a great championship game. Obviously, it's a rematch. And something to bring up here. This is the 8th rematch in Super Bowl history. The last 3 Super Bowl rematches, the team that won the first game won. 5 in the last 7 overall. And Teddy is basically just waiting to use his patented line. Why'd you bet that, Morency?
Still, years later.
If we were in court, and I always look at a game, and me and Rob Vino have fun with this as well, I always look at it like this, Griffin, too. Breaking down a big game like this, especially that it's a pick'em, it's like a court case, and everyone's the jury here, right? And you want to make the legitimate arguments, right? And you want to walk out and say, you know what? I gave everything I could to that jury. I gave everything I could to that judge, and I stand on my evidence. I can't lie. I've got a bad case here. Like, if I'm defending San Francisco, there's a lot of evidence on KC's side why they'll win the game.
Sure. I mean, we have the Mahomes factor. We have the Shanahan factor. You know, winner versus loser.
And Andy Reid.
Sure, Mahomes / Reid.
Yeah.
You know, that's certainly a piece of the equation. We have the current form factor. KC's played better than San Fran for the better part of the last, month and a half, 2 months at
I'm
least?
not sure about that, though. That's something I debate. Didn't they get their ass kicked by the Raiders, like, around Christmas weekend?
They might have had one hiccup.
That wasn't that long
I
ago.
would say...
Were the Buffalo Bills, like a Buffalo Bills screw-up away from, like, winning that game?
No, there was a Buffalo Bills screw-up away from sending the game into overtime, which KC would have won anyway.
They would have this.
It just would have been more excruciating for you. and there was a minute 40 left, and KC had 2 timeouts.
I can't dispute that.
Okay.
McDermott screwed it up. I don't even blame the missed kick.
Yeah. You weren't winning in regulation.
No.
Yeah.
But the Bills did a lot in that game. Okay, so back to the referees. So I already put the bet in, Griffin.
Sure.
I got the bet under 10.5 accepted penalties. For the record, Bill Vinovich was the referee the last time these two teams played. He called 9 penalties in that Super Bowl. You have 2 pretty disciplined football teams.
Very much so.
You know, you get to the Super Bowl, obviously you got smart teams. And there's been a pattern, man, in the last couple of months in the National Football League of them laying off.
Yeah.
They're letting more stuff go than overcalling things.
Absolutely. And you know what? That's the biggest thing. And when you look at this game, I mean, you've got Kyle Shanahan and Andy Reid. These are 2 of the top coaches in the league that you have to say. And you have to best believe that these 2 teams are going to come in disciplined as all heck coming into this matchup. So looking at that line, 10.5, that does seem a little bit high. It's a little overpriced in my eyes. I would honestly, I'd be leaning towards the under in that one.
I got it in, Teddy. Is this too much of a degenerate play for you? What do you think about
No,
my
I
play?
love it.
Under 10.5 accepted penalties.
What are you getting, minus 120? No,
it was even money.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I have no issues with that whatsoever. Again, we're going to have action, all right? There aren't many positive expectation plays out there, at least not that I'm seeing. Maybe someone else out there is a different algorithm and finds all this great stuff. So we got to find stuff that we like. We got to find stuff that fits into our game plan, and we got to bet small. That's how it works for me this Super Bowl.
What I always tell people, too, even if you're playing 15, 20 props, put the same amount of money, as you stated. Like
risk management.
Discipline, right?
Little
Especially with the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
And I talked about this earlier. I used to get too heavy involved on a side. I got $8,000 on the side and a bunch of props or whatnot. Now it's like, no. Like, I'll have a dime on the side here type of thing, and I'm going to have a couple of dimes in props.
Yeah,
I'm going to have a diversified portfolio here.
Absolutely.
So, share who is a player that you're looking at from a player. I haven't even gotten to the player prop perspectives, but what are some of the player props that you're looking at? And before we get to the player props, what about the game props? You've got your standards that I play all the time, but a little bit concerned. The Chiefs are 19-1 to the under in the fourth quarter this year.
Yep.
But I always like, will there be more points in the second half or the first half of the Super Bowl? Kind of thing it's going to open up. And I think you'll like this one because you and I agree on the total.
Sure.
Is will both teams score 20 or more points? That's minus 110.
In the first half.
No, in the game. Just both teams.
Oh, yes, and absolutely. I already told you, I'm leaning towards the total in this game with the over in this matchup. But where I'm kind of looking at this game is Andy Reid, for his sake. If I'm Andy Reid and I'm going into this game, I'm deferring and I'm taking the ball. And the reason being is you look at the Chiefs and the way that they play, and you already know kind of what the Niners are going to bring out. You already know they've got Kittle. You already know they got Purdy. They have a very good system. Right now, the Chiefs are lacking on the wide receiver set. So, as Andy Reid, if I'm Andy Reid head coaching, I want the ball first. And the reason being is because I want Pacheco. I want to see what Pacheco can do on that first possession. Can he ram that ball down their throat? And can they make utilization
if you can find a number on this.
67.5.
I can tell you what, it's been 14 straight Super Bowls.
Yep.
That the team has deferred.
13.
So go to the 14.
The last one.
The Saints.
Yeah. And they got it both halves.
14 Super Bowl, yeah.
Exactly.
And they said he knew.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for the onside kick anyway.
Smart. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to defer, but you're thinking outside the box.
See, if I'm Andy Reid, that's the way I'm going with it because you don't necessarily know what they're going to be able to bring to the table. And Pacheco, he came in, he was hurt, he was banged up. He got his nice 2 weeks off. He's recovered coming into this game. I want to see what this offensive line can do. If this offensive line could push back Bosa and all these defenders on that defensive set with the 49ers, what can Pacheco do to open up the pass game for Patrick Mahomes? That is my biggest take in this game. Patrick Mahomes, he's 14-3 in postseason. He's passed for over 4,800 yards. He's 39 touchdowns, 7 picks. He's done it all.
But
so how do we utilize him? Hit me.
And how about this, the fact that I brought it up, though? He's thrown more interceptions
in the Super Bowl.
In the 3 Super Bowls. He's thrown 4 interceptions in 3 Super Bowls. Then he has 3 interceptions in his 14 career playoff games.
Right.
Good opponents. And how much of that there's always a Rams game?
The Rams?
Or not the Rams. What was what was the one? The
Bucs.
The Bucs. Yeah.
He's played the Bucs, the Eagles, the 49ers.
Which one am I thinking of? What am I? What?
Now that night, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Rams played the Bengals, Teddy.
Yeah. I had the Bengals in that game. It was all good. But there was the one low-scoring, ugly Super Bowl we were just talking about.
That was the Rams Patriots.
That was the Bucs.
13-3.
Right.
But the Bucs Tampa one was 31-9.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the game where Mahomes struggled.
So that was the one. Andy Reid's son.
Yes.
Crashed a car days before the game.
Right.
And he was part of the staff as well. So that didn't help the situation, right? Just as far as the mentality. And I brought this up as far as Mahomes' father. At least there's a week to sort of absorb it.
As opposed to 2 days.
But I couldn't help but think about the deja vu all over again. But remember going into that Super Bowl, guys, Kansas City were depleted. They had no offensive line.
Yep.
They got murdered. And that's the key. Will San Francisco be able to get to Mahomes?
And that's going to be the biggest question in this matchup.
Sounds cliche to say that, but that's the key.
And that is where I think everybody is kind of pondering this type of situation, and that is why my logical instinct goes with Andy Reid. He's got, Andy Reid's coming to this game. He's got 5-10 sets of how he's going to play this game. That's why I think he should take the ball first. You get the ball first. You establish the game. You already know, okay, well, if our run game isn't going to go open, well, we've got Patrick Mahomes. What can Patrick Mahomes do? Just about everything. everything. So that is where kind of I'm circulating with this type of game. Where do you kind of go from there? If you can't establish the run game, well, you're going to have to find Rice. You're going to have to find Tony. You're going to have to utilize all of your wide receivers in that type of setback. So that is kind of where I'm looking at this game right now. But I think the biggest thing for the Chiefs in this matchup is going to be, can our offensive line sustain the Niners' defensive line? And that is where I'm at with this one, Gabe.
I'll tell you what, Chase Young's going to have to step up in this game. And
yes.
He did in the second half. There was that viral video of him sort of, not really going full steam.
Right.
But in the second half, he did step up. So Pacheco is a name that comes up a lot, Teddy, obviously. I'm surprised to see the number 65.5 right now. Total rushing yards. Over, under, what do you think of Pacheco? Over, under 65.5 yards.
I'm going over that particular prop for this reason. This has everything to do with my game script. Your game script about KC getting the ball first, more power to you. My game script is that this is going to be long, slow, methodical drives for both teams. All right. I expect a dearth of big plays. We think about what Kansas City wants to do.
8, 10, 12 play drives type of thing.
All KC wants to do is
and to be
burn
honest,
clock.
KC do a lot of this where if it's 3rd and 9, they get 10. They've really do. If it's
all
3rd and 3,
year
they
they've
get
been
4,
doing it.
right?
That's their MO. 3rd and 9, they get 11. They don't break one for a touchdown. They don't punt. They grind out another 2 minutes of clock. Long, slow drive.
If we were going to play quickly, we got a break coming up here. If we were going to play a prop, which team scores the longer touchdown? It would be San Francisco, wouldn't it? On an Ayuk, on a Samuel pops one.
I'd rather have under longest touchdown than that, for sure.
In the game because of this, huh?
$38-41-30-30. 9 assists, 8 assists, 7 assists, 8 assists. If Jalen Brunson can continue to do this and the Knicks continue to overachieve and play themselves into a top 5 seed in the East, Jalen Brunson should get better consideration for the MVP. It is deserved.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I don't
favorite.
care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different like roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
He feels like he's got unfinished business, right? He won the national championship, did what he said he wanted to do going back to Ann Arbor.
And, he coached, I think, with the Raiders as an assistant and then got the job with the Niners and then went to title games, went to Super Bowls, lost to his brother. And I think you're right, unfinished business, go back, try to win a Super Bowl.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We're rolling. We're throwing it down here at the MGM Ground. Countdown to kickoff is on. I look forward to getting Teddy's props and Griffin Murphy's props here as well. As we were going to the break, I brought up Pacheco. And a little bit surprised, Griff, as the Pacheco is so trendy.
Sure.
Coming into this game. Everybody talking about him as a potential MVP candidate. I actually think his receiving yard prop is something that's not being talked about enough. We'll get into this in a couple of minutes. We'll get Teddy's take on this, but Pacheco's down to 65.5 rush yards right now.
Yeah.
I did cash this ticket in the Baltimore game. It was similar number. It was like 64.5. Mm-hmm. Ended up with 67
by
in
the
game.
Skinnier, chinny.
Yeah, and he caught a bunch of balls as well. But I do buy into the Pacheco narrative.
Sure.
And I will play Pacheco rush yards to the over, and I'm going to play Pacheco receiving yards to the over as well. 16.5 yards, guys. He can pop that. I'll throw it to you first.
That's as simple as it gets. It's a quick screen. You know, Pacheco's got dynamic speed, and not only that, he is so versatile, and he's an explosive back. So you hit him on a quick screen, you could cash that ticket in one play. So, yes, Pacheco, absolutely. I love that play. I would definitely roll with the over in that one.
Teddy, how do you feel about Pacheco coming to this game? You like the over 65.5. What do you think about his receiving yard prop in the 16.5 range?
So, in general, I'm trying not to play that many overs. All right?
Yeah.
That said, Pacheco's the one guy for KC that stands out to me as someone that we want to be playing over. If the game plays out like I think it's going to play out, and Kansas City's just going to be going 6, 7, 8 minutes down the field, Pacheco, I'd rather have him over rushing attempts, probably. You know?
I was looking at that as well.
They don't need to worry about how many yards he gets.
Was it 16.5?
It's a reasonable number.
And if this game goes the way we think it is, I do believe Pacheco's going to touch the ball 20, 23, 24 times.
Yep.
Catching the ball out of the backfield as well. I want to get some of these reception props up, actually.
Yep.
Because George Kittle, I want to talk about George Kittle, actually. I don't know how you feel about Kittle.
Yeah.
I think Kittle is sort of like a stock that it's a good time to buy in on. Right? If you look at Mark Andrews didn't play in forever. He came back. He had 4 catches.
Yes, he did.
We talked about Kansas City's defense being very bend but don't break. I think they're going to be very concerned, Kansas City, about the big play. Right? But they know, listen, we've got to worry about McCaffrey, but Samuel's freaking fast. Don't let him get past us. Then you got Ayuk, who's their number 1 wide receiver. Now, we haven't even gotten to George Kittle yet.
Right.
George Kittle's going to be dancing over the middle of the field here. I think he can rack up the catches more so than the yards. I like George Kittle's receptions. Like I said, Mark Andrews had 4. He only had 31 yards, but he had 4 catches. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Kittle has 6, 7 catches in this game for only like 50 yards or something. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, and I agree with that. And Kittle's going to be kind of one of your check down players in this matchup, you know, because you've got Ayuk and you know Brock Purdy. That's his guy downfield. So he's already going to be rolling that side. And then you have Debo, and you're going to hit him with the jet sweeps. You're going to hit him around the perimeter. That's going to be your guy. McCaffrey, well, he gets the job done, play in, play out. Whether he's hitting the backfield blown up 3 yards back, he's going to get you an extra 3-4 yards. Kittle is the one guy on the field when it comes to the passing game where you can find him just about anywhere on the field, and he's going to be there. He's a big body. He's going to be there to snag some receptions. I do love where you're at with that. My head registering to that, I wasn't necessarily there until you brought it up regarding receptions. I was kind of more on an over-under type of reception yard.
I like him to score a touchdown as well.
I am not against that as either. He's another red zone type of guy that you're going to connect with.
Range, right?
Exactly.
Plus 185, plus 190. What do you think about George Kittle's impact on this football game?
Well, okay, so we love McCaffrey, we love Kittle, we love Debo.
No, I didn't say Debo yet.
Well, I'm going to talk about the guy I want to face.
Those are the 2 guys I like, McCaffrey and Kittle.
Ayuk's the guy I want to fade.
Yeah.
And I have no problem fading Debo either. Okay.
Yeah.
But I certainly think that the Kittle's an inviting target for Purdy, and will have his opportunities here. But we talk about big plays on the outside. And Debo, again, if you're going Debo, I'd rather have him passing or receiving yards under than rushing and receiving yards under, because I think he's going to get a chance to run the football here.
I agree with that.
For either of these guys. But, and maybe the same thing with Ayuk. But neither one. Kansas City's defensive game plan all year has been don't give up the big play.
Right.
That doesn't change here. And so I would look at the two wide receivers as guys to maybe bet some unders or bet against, as opposed to McCaffrey or Kittle.
With the Super Bowl bye week as it is, I don't know how you guys feel about this, if there's an advantage to one team. I actually think that the bye week and the rest helps the San Francisco 49ers more.
I agree.
And you just mentioned Samuel. He's been far from 100%.
Yep.
And you saw he had a little bit of burst in the last game. Now he's going to have another 2 weeks here. McCaffrey hasn't been 100% either in the last month of the season. And KC's guys, let's talk about Omanayu, who's going to be out on their defensive line. That's pretty impactful, man. That's not being talked about enough.
Not enough at all by any means. That is one of their huge critical.
Name is hard to say.
Exactly. No one wants to talk about
it. I just stumbled through it, but we all know what we're talking about.
And you did it very well.
Thank you.
But what we also should remember, San Fran didn't play their best ball. They got 2 weeks to correct that instead of 1 week to correct that. KC, I'm not going to say they played their best ball, but San Fran is the one that didn't. So the fact that they didn't gives them extra time. And in my mind, that's the biggest factor in the 2 weeks working for the 49ers. Being a little bit of an edge in their favor.
Let's talk about the field goal kickers here.
Okay.
Because I got to tell you what, there's a lot of similarities between the Chiefs. And first off, shout out to our boy Harold over here from Phoenix. He was here for the NFL draft as well. He's a hardcore fan of the grid. Great stuff. Great to see him. I couldn't remember. I was like, did I meet you at the Super Bowl last year? Or he goes, no, it was the NFL draft here. But the last years, LA, Phoenix, Vegas, draft, Super Bowls, they're all kind of merging into one. You know what I'm saying? But I want to talk about the kickers. Because remember, Adam Vinatieri was just money. Butker is like the new Vinatieri.
Yep. The new Tucker.
Yeah, no, like he really is.
There it is.
People were like, you're crazy, Morency, because I love my long field goal prop. And for the record, I'm betting this one. Over 46.5 yards, longest field goal made successfully in the Super Bowl. I bet the over. People thought I was crazy. I bet the over 45.5 when they played against the Buffalo Bills. They're like, Morency, it's windy, the weather.
Never in doubt.
No. Look, Andy Reid has confidence in Butker to kick from like 54 in bad weather. Indoors, he's not a 62-yard guy, but he's money from like 54 yards in, Teddy. And we got our boy Jake Moody from Michigan, who's been a little hit or miss for the Niners.
Sure, Butker's the guy I'd rather target, of the two. But I think there's going to be field goal tries.
Yeah, me too. I played over 3.5 field goals made. Dude, I saw it, Teddy, at plus 135.
So stop.
And I got it at plus 120 only.
How can you get over 3.5 field goals made and under and over for the game? They don't correlate at all. It's the opposite, dude.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
How not?
I've got, you know what? I've got it sort of right on the number. Look, 5 touchdowns and 4 field goals gets me 47.
There you go. All right.
Dialed in.
No, it does. 4 field goals a day. He asked the question. I was ready.
I love it. You executed.
Well done. I thought I stumped him. I didn't stump him.
No.
No
I love it.
Morency.
No, but we've seen both teams, specifically Kansas City. They're not one of these modern. Andy Reid's not like a modern renegade. He'll take the 3.
Absolutely.
Because he knows Butker can make the kick from 47 or 48.
Exactly.
And he knows he's got a good defense.
And he trusts his defense. Yeah.
And I think even though Moody missed a kick, they drafted the kid in the 3rd round.
Yep.
I think they'll unleash him. I wouldn't be surprised if Moody attempted a 50-yarder in this game.
Sure.
It's indoors. Weather's obviously not a factor here, but I do like. I'm a big fan of this long field goal prop in the regular season, Griffin, so I'm obviously playing it. But
sure.
I like the over 3.5 here. What are you looking at for some props? What do you like?
So I was looking at, obviously I got Pacheco on the 67.5 yards rushing over. As obviously I gave my breakdown. Andy Reid, they need to utilize that run game to open up for obviously the pass game with Mahomes. I also love Mahomes passing touchdowns over 1.5 passing touchdowns. You get a minus 140 line there. if they're going to score points, which we're all kind of on the same page with the total in this game, it's going to go over as where I'm at
he's
with
not
it.
part of the wall here. He's like, don't bring me in. Yeah, don't bring me into that.
You guys.
But yes, no, I like Mahomes on the passing, over 1.5 passing touchdowns. And then on the other side, the flip side of it, is I like Brock Purdy on the under 247 yards passing.
I agree with that.
I think that he is I think he is most definitely somebody that is going to be utilized in a factor of more of a check down, going back to Kittle. You know, it's going to be their weakest trait is their third down efficiency. So how do you utilize that? Well, you've got to find your prime guys, and that's going to be Kittle. So when you get into the red zone type of situation, it's going to be heavily utilized with McCaffrey and Debo. And that's kind of where I'm kind of riding with this thing, is I like the receptions under with, receiving or passing yards under with Brock Purdy in this game. I think he's going to have an outstanding game. I think he's going to play very well, but I don't think he's going to be able to stretch that because of all the weapons they have in the backfield already.
That's something that I was actually looking at, Teddy, and in fact, I saw some stats to back up what Griffin's talking about here. How do you feel about Purdy passing yards? If you're like in the under of the game, or you don't think it's going to be a track meet, is he really going to throw for 249 yards, 250, 248, etc.? There's always the threat of a couple of big plays. But we should note, only 3 times this year away from home did he throw for more than that yards.
It's a matter of whether you think San Fran's going to be playing from ahead or from behind. You know, I would not be shocked if San Fran is playing from behind in this game, which makes me a little bit reluctant to play Purdy under.
That's been the method of the playoffs so far.
Yep.
And that's why I'm also playing with a team that, that doesn't score first win the game. But with that being stated, what about in-game opportunities? I'll throw this one to you first, Teddy. We're coming up against the break, but somebody scores an early touchdown in this game. How do you not just buy in automatically on the team if we're getting 5.5, 6.5, etc. in game? I look forward to your take on this on the other side.
I expect a competitive game. I expect the no for 3 straight scores. We talk about that.
Okay, we're getting to that. And you know what a great bet is, guys? The last 2 Super Bowls, both decided by 3 points exact. Winning margin 1-6 plus 300.
$38, $41, $30, $30. 9 assists, 8 assists, 7 assists, 8 assists. If Jalen Brunson can continue to do this and the Knicks continue to overachieve and play themselves into a top 5 seed in the East, Jalen Brunson should get better consideration for the MVP. It is deserved.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but he's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro football today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different like roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
He feels like he's got unfinished business, right? He won the national championship, did what he said he wanted to do, going back to Ann Arbor.
And, you know, he coached, I think, with the Raiders as an assistant, and then got the job with the Niners, and then went to title games, went to Super Bowls, lost to his brother. And I think you're right, unfinished business, go back, try to win a Super Bowl.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to SportsGrid's coverage of Super Bowl 58. We are live at MGM Grand, straight from the Strip in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're just getting started. The week is just getting started, but people are having a lot of fun. Fans from all teams are milling about, and I told you guys earlier about Edmonton Oilers fans, huh? Right,
everywhere.
Like, oh, yeah.
Hundreds of them. It's like a deluge.
It's like I kid the other day. I said, I think the Oilers are in the Super Bowl.
Right.
I think the Edmonton,
you look around, absolutely.
The Edmonton Oilers. And one thing I'm going to talk about betting, I'm willing to bet that Edmonton Oilers fans drink more beer than Kansas City Chiefs and 49er fans combined. Like the hotels are going to be sad. Like when the Canadians and the Oilers fans leave. And like they'll be like, damn, man, those guys, like they drank a lot, man. Like, right? They drank a lot. So a lot of stuff I want to get to here, and I want to get into some player props. Teddy's got a sheet ready, or not so much player props, but situational props as well. We kicked the tires on the field goals. What else are you looking at here, Teddy?
So, in a game that I expect to be low scoring and methodical, relatively, again, it's not that I believe that these defenses are going to dominate.
What's a ballpark figure score you? Because I have correct score numbers here. What's a ballpark? A couple of ballparks you're looking at.
KC 23, San Fran 22.
Okay. Man, you said that earlier. You're not playing around.
No, that's the score.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's such the weirdest score ever, bro.
Maybe 23-19, 23-18.
I like the weirdness of it.
It's not going to be a...
They're scared of people like you. I don't think I'm going to...
I have a little more juice on that.
Yeah, 20. So 23-22. But if San Fran doesn't get the last field goal, maybe it's 23-19. I'll go, yeah. So that. But the whole point is these. When I talk about long, slow, methodical drives, the last 2 minutes before halftime isn't that. The last 2 minutes before halftime is
always
we're gonna two offenses that we trust and an urgency to score right then. So yes. Score in the last 2 minutes of the first half. That's
you like this one
that I like. That's one that makes sense. Total first downs over
in the game
something.
Because you think they're going to rack up first downs more than points.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to play some
longer drives.
Yeah,
which could settle for field goals.
Sure. The over's in trouble if you get to 7-minute drive, field goal, 7-minute drive, stopped on down.
How do you feel about the over
you're in trouble.
With a teaser? Your score sort of gets you there. Let's say if you're teasing it to the over 40.5.
So I teased KC, and I thought long and hard
about to the over or under. Which way you're going to go?
That's where I read because I knew at +2 to +8 was a no-brainer. You go through all the key numbers. Kansas City's a teaser.
I played it as well.
Mahomes I don't expect Kansas City to get slapped around. They may lose. But in my mind, it's a pick'em game, and I'm getting more than a touchdown. And that's okay. It's a pick'em game.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about the in-game options of this after an early touchdown, potentially.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. But I spent like 3 days just thinking and researching and I decided I wanted under tease the total up rather than tease the total down and play. I wanted under 53.5 versus over 41.5. And the reason that was exclusively because I expect to see a low possession game. And low possession games, I'm not playing a whole lot of overs. I want to be playing unders in low possession games. And both teams want to play that way. I don't see how it doesn't turn out that way.
Now, what kind of score are you looking at? What's your ballpark figure?
So I'm kind of looking at a 27-24 final. That's kind of where I'm at with this game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring first half, and the reason being is because I think everybody's going to kind of want to distinguish where this game is going to go, head coach to head coach, and there's going to be so many variables in action. But when it comes to the second half, when it really starts, the pressure starts getting put on, I think that's when Shanahan is going to start airing the ball out. He's going to start looking for guys like Ayuk. He's going to start looking for guys like Kittle. He's going to start trying to air the ball out and put more numbers on the board. So that's kind of where I'm looking at with that. When it goes to the Chiefs, I kind of have already a pretty good idea of how they're going to work this offense, obviously establishing the run game, and then you got Mahomes running all over the field. He's going to find guys. He's going to connect, and I think the Chiefs are going to put a crooked number up on the board in the first half of this game. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a shell shock. Everybody's kind of looking at this game thinking it's going to be extremely tight. I believe that, but I don't believe that until the second half of this game. I think in the first half of this game, Kyle Shanahan's going to get out-coached, and that's the way I'm looking at this game.
The fourth quarter has been Shanahan's nemesis. We've talked about it.
Yep.
So going back to Teddy went all the way back to the Washington days earlier, but let's go back to the Super Bowl. So Shanahan was the offensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons. They blow the 28-3 lead. It's easy to forget, guys, the San Francisco 49ers were winning the Super Bowl 20-10 with about 9 minutes left. All right? How about this? 0 points scored in the fourth quarter of that Falcons Super Bowl, and the Niners were shut out.
Yep.
So in the two biggest games of the two Super Bowls, one as a coordinator, one as a head coach, he hasn't scored a single point in the fourth quarter. I tell you what, if they don't, on Sunday, they're not winning the game, bro.
Exactly. And that is why he's going to have to utilize that pass game. He's going to have to use Brock Purdy. 262nd pick in the draft. You know what? This kid, I don't care system quarterback or not. This kid can play. He does it. He does it game in, game out. Look back at last year during the NFC Championship game. Josh Johnson comes in after Purdy goes down in the first possession. They get dismantled. What does Purdy do? He comes back. He leads his team all the way to a Super Bowl. Shanahan is aware of this, and best believe he's got plans up his sleeve in the second half.
I think, I like where you're going in a way here. I'm thinking actually, though, I would trust Purdy earlier in the game more. If I was San Francisco, I'd like to get up and be able to just give the ball to McCaffrey after. You know what I mean? You get up 14-3. I don't want to be playing from behind in this game with Purdy. But I think Purdy has shown that last drive against the Green Bay Packers. He showed that second half. He tore it apart, man. He did 15-18 in the second half. Like, he was dialed in. I think that gives him, and quite frankly, the team confidence in him coming into this game if they need him in the fourth quarter, Teddy.
I would have thought that Tom Brady settled where the quarterback was drafted matters.
Right.
Him and Jamarcus Russell, maybe, between them. It doesn't matter where Brock Purdy. You watched Brock Purdy play at Iowa State, okay?
Yeah.
I did too. I made money with Brock Purdy at Iowa State. It wasn't a quarterback who came into the NFL. You're like, oh, that guy can't play. Came into the NFL, we knew this kid could play, and he played.
People built him up, and there's been a media narrative over the last month or so of tearing him down.
Of course.
And he's going to be the problem.
That's what we do. We build them up and we tear them down. But media narrative's your point, though. I mean, that's. I mean,
no, and I don't think it's a reality.
Talking heads, blah blah blah.
Well, if I'm betting on San Francisco, I obviously trust Purdy enough.
Yeah.
That I think he can make enough plays.
But
in this game,
you got to tell me how this isn't a pick'em game. Because
this is what I wanted to ask, actually.
Yeah.
So Patrick Mahomes is 14-3 in 17 playoff games.
Yep.
He's 11-1-1 against the spread as an underdog in his career.
Yep.
This is a Super Bowl rematch. Rematches, the team that won the first game is 5-2. They've won the last 3. People talk about San Francisco's current form. And Mahomes is basically the modern LeBron James, Michael Jordan, the popular face, not to mention the Travis Kelce popularity angle.
Oh.
Why is the number is what it is? And I saw a 2.5 earlier in the day.
This is why.
And is there going to be a late buyback of KC public money here? What's going on with the spread, Teddy, in your opinion?
I'll tell you exactly why. The statistical profile of San Fran is a little bit better than the statistical profile of Kansas City because San Fran was a better team in October than Kansas City was. And that is why San Fran is the favorite, -2, -2.5. It's because they were a better team in October. That's the only reason.
If I was an odds maker, I would hate to be crushed on these teasers like you and I played already. No, I really would, like with these key numbers.
That,
you're like, you know what I mean? You want to do a 7-point tease, you're getting 9 points. You want to do a 6, you're getting 8.
Right.
That's a lot to give the Kansas City Chiefs.
Maybe too many. Maybe too many. And that's kind of.
Let's hope so.
That's kind of where I'm at with it as well, Gabe. Is the crooked number here is the teaser is set in stone. You know, you're getting that extra 6 points. That takes you over a 7.5-point touchdown. Kansas City's, from my perspective, I don't think Kansas City loses this game by a touchdown or more than a touchdown and a half.
No, I think it's a close game.
Absolutely.
And Teddy, you're saying no team's going to score 3 consecutive times.
Yeah, so we used to bet the yes every year in the Super Bowl for that. I mean, for years.
I used to get suckered in all the time.
Yeah.
And say there's no way in hell any team scored 3 times in a row. Cowboys beat the Bills 52-17 or something.
Yeah.
And it always implodes. But it's tightened up lately. And I wanted to ask you about this, Teddy, because you're talking about the point spread. You and I have talked about this for years. The point spread has never mattered in the Super Bowl.
7 times it has.
Yeah.
Actually, 10 times. 3 pushes and 7.
Yeah.
17.
So out of 57 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Yet Super Bowls used to be blowouts all the time.
Sure.
Look at the modern era right now.
It mattered 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago, 23-20.
Yeah.
Last year, 38-35.
Yeah.
You can get winning margin. You can get winning margin. San Francisco 49ers to win a game 1-6, Griffin, plus 300. Kansas City to win 1-6 is plus 325.
Ooh.
Like, what do you think about? Oh, the winning margin bet.
I don't love it.
Do you think either team is going to win by more than 6 points?
No, but I don't love it because the price isn't right.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a fade for me. That's a fade for me. I don't like it at all. I think this game is going to go up and down. As I mentioned earlier, second half is where it's going to get tight. I think this game is going to be a little bit more of a debacle until we get to that second half. It's going to be very much so. I'm leaning Chiefs here in the first half of this game. That's where I'm at with it.
To bet the Chiefs in the first half.
Yes,
what
sir.
about the first quarter? Are you going to go that far?
No, I'm not there. No, I'm not there. I would not jump the gun on it. I think both of these teams need to establish what they're capable of doing against each other before they do so, before I can start really putting in any of my actual leniency on which team I actually love going into deeper into this matchup.
Teddy, a popular prop is when will the first points of the game be scored? 6 minutes, over under 6 minutes. Last year, it actually hit. It was like 5 minutes in. Philadelphia scored early in the football game. It generally has not hit, though.
Sure.
You know, I think it's 4-1 actually to the under in the last 5. We've had scoreless quarters and sort of feeling out processes early. You're expecting long drives. What do you think about the no score in the first 6 minutes?
Love it. And again, check your books. That's one prop where you find all kinds of variants.
Oh, yeah, you might find 5 minutes or 5:30 or whatnot, right?
And it's worth paying extra juice for that extra 30 seconds. You know, I think I cashed last year.
That's one time you will pay the extra.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You know, look, I'm not afraid to lay juice in a prop that I've got a positive expectation.
Sure.
And in this situation, the difference between 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7, I've seen 7.5 minutes, I've seen a number is enormous, especially in a game that I do expect longer, slower drives. I don't mind the first drive's a touchdown, as long as it's long and slow.
Here's a couple of exact score props, just to give you guys a sort of feel for what some of these numbers are. 27-24 San Francisco final is 80-1.
That's mine.
What's 23-22?
They don't have it, Teddy, because it's too whacked out. I'm trying to get one as close.
Like 23, give me a 23-19.
Yeah. All right, 24-20 San Francisco's 100-1.
I need KC winning, though. KC 23, San Fran 19.
Oh, yeah, so, okay. KC 26-23 is 125-1.
That's too many points.
All right, KC 23-17 is 125-1. 24-20, 125-1.
It's good. One of these teams is going to have a funky number. There's going to be a 2 or a 9.
I know.
I mean, it's not.
Well, if we're going to get that funky number, then maybe we're going to get that octopus. You know what, though? These teams aren't very good at going for 2 and don't go for 2 a lot, actually.
No, I wouldn't expect. I bet the no on the 2 point.
Sucker bet McCaffrey, what do you think of this? Minus 225 anytime touchdown score. Like,
I wouldn't bet the no. I wouldn't bet the no.
24 of the last 27 games.
Yeah. I'm not betting it the other way.
It's a lot. You're laying a lot, but I think it'd be dumb if you didn't think McCaffrey was going to put one in the end zone.
To me, you put it in same-game parlays.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? That's how I approach it. We'll wrap up with the boys on the other side.
$38, 41, 30, 30. 9 assists, 8 assists, 7 assists, 8 assists. If Jalen Brunson can continue to do this and the Knicks continue to overachieve and play themselves into a top 5 seed in the East, Jalen Brunson should get better consideration for the MVP. It is deserved.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but he's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different like roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
He feels like he's got unfinished business, right? He won the national championship, did what he said he wanted to do going back to Ann Arbor.
And, he coached, I think, with the Raiders as an assistant and then got the job with the Niners and then went to title games, went to Super Bowls, lost to his brother. And I think you're right, unfinished business, go back, try to win a Super Bowl.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
On Sahara and Las Vegas Boulevard, Allure.
Okay.
The condo on the corner there.
Nice. How long were you?
All right, we got a college basketball game coming up in a couple of minutes. The Miami Hurricanes got absolutely lit up and smashed, man. 60-38 was the final score earlier tonight, Teddy.
Packline playing packline all of a sudden.
That game went under the number. Yeah, that didn't crack 100. So we got the Kansas Jayhawks and Kansas State tonight. State rivalry game. Any opinion on this game?
Nothing strong. I mean, look, there's a lot of anti-Jayhawk sentiment out there, I feel. More than I expect.
Struggling on the road.
They're
good.
This
isn't the best Kansas
They're
State.
better than Kansas State.
They've lost a couple of big games, Kansas. I don't think they lose this one tonight.
No, I'm with you on that one. But I actually did want to touch up on that Virginia-Miami game that you were talking about. I love the fact Virginia rolling right now, 13-0 at home, I want to say. That is one of that team has really shown. They've got shooters around the perimeter. They've got guys in the paint. That was one game that really caught my attention today. That was something I was in.
Okay, so we got about a minute here. Your final score, your final prediction, and great stuff, Griffin Murphy. Where can people find you online? And your final picks here, picks, props, whatever you want to share with people quickly on the web.
I got the Isaiah Pacheco over 67.5 rushing yards. I got Brock Purdy under 245.5
Love that play. Love
passing yards, and I have Patrick Mahomes over 1.5 touchdown passes. Those are my three props for the play. You can find me on Instagram at G_Bay_B, G baby. You can find me on Twitter, G Murphy Wins. Simple as that.
Teddy, final words. Great to see you, buddy.
Yeah, dude.
This
just flew by, dude. And my buddy's been screaming at me the whole time I've been on the show, texting me, telling me I can't give out a teaser. But that's how I played it. I played it, I teased San Fran to the under. So you find me at wagertalk.com. Follow me on Twitter at Teddy_cover.
DocSports.com as well.
They'll have some great insight all week long. Keep it locked here on the grid. I'm going to be here 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock local time all week long. And don't worry, as the week goes on, it's really going to start to become crazier. I tell you what, though. We saw the Oiler fans already. They're playing tomorrow night. So we're going to be on here when they're filing through. The league is across the street. It's going to be off the hook. Tomorrow we're doing this thing power slap style. But no, I'm not letting anybody slap me in the face from power slap. Tomorrow, Sean Merriman, lights out. The great Sean Merriman will join us as well. Let's do this thing. Straight from the strip in Las Vegas, Nevada.